I am Jenna in the Pacific Northwest. Tonight, I wish to bring perspective and truth to where it's needed, and my guest interview that I plan to share with others, with our listeners on Revolution Radio, will listen hopefully with an objective ear. We're not here to scare you, but we are here to present information. My guest is James Scott Mckillop of Barely Bruised Books. He's a book owner in Ottawa, and he has been following a policy arm of the Canadian government closely. This led him to an understanding of the power structure behind the pandemic measures and what's now being rolled out under the Great Reset with the carbon credits, the food, the digital ID, the CBDC, and a biodigital convergence. James, thank you for coming on. How are you tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Are you doing well? How are you doing?
Yeah, we've got a sunny, beautiful day still. We're 3 hours behind. So yeah, I know you just put in a long day at work, so I want to use your time wisely. First,
okay.
I would like to expand the listeners' understanding of how you came to be in Canada and how you came into understanding what's being rolled out right now.
How I came to be into Canada? I own a store here. I was born in Canada, but as for learning into what's going on right now, my government wanted me to close my business down at the beginning of COVID to stand in line at Walmart. That got me interested in this COVID. I heard all these conspiracy theories going around, everything from gene therapies to Klaus Schwab to Great Reset to Neuralinks. I decided to put my own investigation into it. And I came across a policy arm in the Canadian government. Seems to be at the forefront of what's going on. It was very simple to find this information out. I was paying attention to, like, at first I was watching everything play out, watching doctors that are, I was watching Klaus Schwab, watching doctors like such as Dr. Robert Malone. I was watching Dr. Peter McCullough. Then I was watching, like, people were saying Bill Gates. I didn't find much good information from these people to what's going on. But I did, after about a month of looking into it, where I was looking at these people in the like what most people, of the awake people, are seeing, I decided to put a little investigation into it. It really didn't take that long. I was started paying close attention to what the media was saying and what the politicians were saying. And I kept hearing, like, horizons. I knew from previous research that usually there's, like, these policy arms and think tanks that come up with this stuff. I literally just put COVID foresight in Google and came across this policy arm in the Canadian government called Horizons. And they admit to being responsible to being at the forefront of what's happening right now. They're responsible for a thing called biodigital convergence. They have a COVID foresight policy that admits the best practices to identify COVID are this biodigital convergence. Since I learned that, I've been paying very, very close attention to what they're doing in the power structure, what's going on here.
Right. And yeah. we already know that we're living in a surveillance environment, and a lot of our information and data is, we don't even know where our data is going. So the thing that stuck out when I listened to your first interview was that they're tracking with the metals that are in the injections, and you had found that Yeah, please go ahead. Magnetic
It's
liquid.
not only injections, it's in food too. It's called 3D printed magnetic liquids, according to our government. It is definitely in the mRNA injections, according to the Policy Horizons report. They were being kind of vague as for, they don't, in their first report, they don't mention mRNA. I decided to look into a bit like that, into that. Turns out it's in all the mRNA shots. It's in the production of it, which does lead down to it being in the shots too. It's a magnetic like graphene substance. It's called, the government calls it 3D printed magnetic liquids. Sorry, I have a speech impediment.
It's
but
fine.
Yeah, but that's what they call it. It's in the mRNA. It's definitely in our foods too. It even looks like it's in our water system. Okay, like they have, they're monitoring them. They're monitoring our water, but it's the same technology is definitely in our water. I'm learning through looking at their documents. Now I find I guess they can monitor. It's like a biosurveillance system, according to both Policy Horizons, the NIH. Another group, like the person that's writing these documents on our government website, her name is Crystal Vanderelst. And this lady, if people Google her name, they'll be taken to the World Economic Forum. And they'll say she's former head of strategic foresight for the World Economic Forum. Mm-hmm. They also say she's the CEO of this group called the Global Foresight Group. And they seem to be responsible, in my opinion, for what's happening. They provide legal representation, like they provide legal service. How do they word it? Just give me 1 second here. I'll go to the Global Foresight Group's website. So the CEO of this group, that's in Geneva, Switzerland, has, as soon as you open their website, which is globalforesightgroup.org, Better Future by Design, preparing legal and institutional arrangements for preventing or containing future pandemics through anticipation, assessment, and the design of the negotiating processes to achieve preferred outcomes. They say they're a pandemic preparedness, surveillance, and response organization. If you go over to their directory there and go into like biosafety, they have things like the International Legal Framework for the Sharing of Pathogens, Issues and Challenges. They have a list of the institutions involved, which are World Health, World Bank, IMF, UN, World Trade. They got a COVID-19 TRIPS waiver. They got says the World Intellectual Property Organization is involved. They have they even have the negotiating diagram saying like they're in governments everywhere. And I guess they say they build from like the WHO Treaty all the way down, but they're already in place in the governments to put everything in place. That so when I see that and I see the lady that like see these articles on our government website saying that they're literally going to change the name of humanity around, and those are their words. They're doing it with this liquid for CRISPR and this 3D printing magnetic liquid. That's like, from my research, what they're monitoring inside us with. It's quite scary. They say, like, in their own words on their Exploring Biodigital Convergence report, in the first paragraph, they say more than a technological change, this biodigital convergence may transform the way we understand ourselves and cause us to redefine what we consider human or natural. Now, those are their own words on our government website. It goes on to full physical integration of biological and digital entities to change human beings, our bodies, minds, and behaviors. When people scroll all the way down that article, they'll have what new capabilities are opening up, and they bring up altering the human genome, they bring up monitoring, altering, and manipulating human thoughts and behavior. They also bring up CRISPR, and they also bring up this 3D printing. Magnetic liquid. I guess they can make tissues based on digital designs on this. And also from my research, I learned like other names for this are like digital twins, where they say we have like a digital immune system. It's quite frightening that nobody knows this is happening. But yeah, they say it's going to go to a new economic system too, with a social credit system placed on it.
Right,
Yeah.
because there is already international framework for the sharing of pathnogenic materials, but because the WHO has like agreements with every country, they're in charge. And since they've brought this out, that's where within the lockdowns here in the United States, the rollout of all those small towers and the expansiveness of all of the digital infrastructure here is, doubled. Well, I don't have the exact numbers, but I remember listening to Amanjabi saying there's more towers and LED lights here than in China. That it goes hand in hand. The biosensors in people everywhere are recording this, and it is really good that you found all of this information and we can share it just to be aware. Now, you were telling me. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You keep going. It's okay.
Okay. Well, you mentioned, because you own a bookstore, it's a public space and people come in, and you have gotten, because you have a presence and you have interaction, which most of us don't have on a day-to-day basis. When you mention that you're able to reach so many people, you're able to explain to them and get them on board with understanding. And when you said within 2 minutes you can get people involved and even signing a petition against the CBDC and digital currency. Yeah. Could you just tell our listeners how you talk to people, how you present this information on a day-to-day basis?
There's I've managed to learn to get in several ways. This involves several different sciences, from digital currency like blockchain to this 3D printing, to climate change, to so I've actually learned to get in the conversation with people regarding this. Sometimes I wait till payment. If I can't get the conversation started first, I sometimes, like, if they pay by card, I'll ask them if they know it's going, that they're putting a carbon footprint on their card. If they pay in cash, I'll ask them if they know it's going cashless. And sometimes I'll just say, you want to hear something scary? The majority say yes. The majority say yes. That's pretty much everyone says yes. As soon as I've noticed they're very interested in the economics when I bring up like that it's going to go to a new economy. I can usually get them started in the conversation that way. They ask me what I'm talking about. I show them Horizon's next digital economy, and I show them that the Federal Reserve just announced a 12-week pilot project back in November for central bank digital currency. I also show them that at the same time they did that, the Canadian government announced that their framework was available, prepared for this. I showed them the Bank of Canada evidence that say it's coming in 2023, and they do say that in the Bank of Canada website. So as soon as I get them interested in that, I show them As soon as I get their interest there, it's a lot easier to show them this COVID policy and this biodigital convergence. I'll show them the COVID foresight policy, where they admit that's a driving force to coming in. Let me look this up right now. I'll show you what. So I walk them, as soon as I bring up the economy and I show them these documents, as soon as I get their interest, I show them this thing called Foresight on COVID-19, Possible Shifts and Implications. And that's from Horizons 2. And they say it's intended to encourage conversation about what is changing, what plausible futures may arise. When you scroll down that document, you'll see the driving forces, and it says health, economy, next digital economy, and the future of work. It goes on to like socioeconomic and environmental tags, which I tell them means carbon footprint if they read this stuff. But in that document, like the leading driving forces are health. At the bottom of our health, the bottom of the health, it says best practices to identify, isolate, and treat COVID-19 could prove invaluable in responding to intentional introduction of a synthetic biology pathogen. Policy Horizons Biodigital Convergence Report explores the broader context in which we might experience and manage bio risks and opportunities. I open that up, and then I just quickly scroll through that, showing them the full physical integration between biological and digital entities, and then right below it where it says to change human beings, our bodies, minds, and behaviors. As soon as I show them that, most of them are very interested. Okay, and they can't believe what they're seeing.
Right.
On both sides of this argument, no matter where they are in the experiment. Okay, and we're all in this experiment. We're all in it. It doesn't matter if we took this. Yeah. So I try to explain it to them that way. When I go down to what new capabilities are opening up on that document, I show them altering the human genome and then monitoring, altering, and manipulating human thoughts and behaviors. I let them know that it took a lot. I try to let them know that it took a lot of that for this to happen. Then, they're usually very, very interested in it at this point. And the good thing about this is that everybody, no matter where they are in the program, has questions regarding this. If nobody that goes and reads it on their own and comes back and talks to me wants it, and some people can see that they don't want it and have a lot of questions regarding it right away. They're usually willing to let me go through all their documents at this point, right in front. I got them so interested in it, I usually end up showing them 4 or 5 documents after that.
Right.
That are in related posts. They're all, if you scroll down to the page and go into what is the biodigital convergence, I bring up in that document, or it's a video actually. They bring up a CRISPR immunization. I show them that. Then I show them this other article called From CRISPR to Prime Editor, where they talk about people modifying viruses to government specifications. It says this allows humans to create or modify viruses, bacteria, plants, and animals, including ourselves, in ways that reflect our design specifications. I show them that, and then I show them their newest report where they say they're doing it to the food too. Nobody seems to want it. If we could get the conversation started in our communities and maybe focused, like in Horizon's newest report, they admit that the people in the smart cities are going to be like the first to be hooked up to this Internet of Bodies and things.
Biologically, like their physical bodies will be hooked up, especially if they have vaccines.
I would say it's going to come down to a digital ID. I'd say we're hooked up right now, and believe me, it's not just these LED it's not just the LED lights in this. It's also like the biosurveillance system, and I want to stress this out. Like in their newest document, they admit that the biosurveillance system is using our cell phones. Okay, and now I had a lot of questions regarding that. But they say the COVID pandemic has proven to be a powerful driver of change, spurring biodigital innovations such as nearly real-time biosurveillance of virus spread and mutations, virus tracking via smartphone, and messenger mRNA vaccines. They're actually using the cameras on our smartphones to look at these biosensors.
So those can't, even without an app, because I know at one time people could download an app for track and tracing, but there's sensors that people are unaware that they're carrying in their cell phone that are like a biosensor that are sending something about your biology somewhere.
I think they're looking at I think from my understanding of this 3D printing magnetic liquid gives off like a fluorescent protein, and they can see the fluorescent protein inside of us. Now that's my understanding of it. Now they did not explain that in Horizon stuff. I had to look elsewhere for that information, but all that information that I looked elsewhere from comes from the NIH. And the NIH says here, if I look up luciferase, let me find this, luciferase-based biosensors, where is that? NIH. But if I look that up, they'll bring me, where is it? They'll say a single component luminescent biosensor for the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein. I'm on the NIH website now, looking at an article called a single component luminescent biosensor for the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein. And that document, if you scroll down to like in the first paragraph, they say the chemiluminescent signal generated facilitates detection by an unaugmented cell phone camera. Binding activated tandem split enzyme BAT biosensors may serve for a useful template for diagnostics, and that detects SARS-CoV-2 antigens and other proteins of interest. From my understanding, one of those proteins is a fluorescent protein, and it's in both the shots and the food now. So I would say that people, like, although I took no shots, the government admits that this liquid is in like several foods, supplements already. It admit that I would say, from my guess, I know I've eaten some of the foods they mentioned.
Were they like name brands?
Nestle is there. Let me go through this. I'll find what they bring up KFC. So 3D, they say lab grown meat from KFC. Lab grown meat in Tel Aviv. Then KFC chicken announced plans to sell 3D printed nuggets in 2020. Salmon, tuna, shrimp, dairy products, pet food, human breast milk. They talk about 3D printed sushi. They talk about Nestle. They talk about vitamin pills. I've noticed that Nestle has, like, when you open the Nestle document, they say there's a Nestle Health Science Acquired Personalized Medicine platform, and it literally involves all their foods. It's called the Living Matrix System. And they go on about Yeah. So from my understanding, it's in a lot of foods. Okay.
Did you see anywhere if it was mentioned that like cattle, animal like livestock, if it's in their injections as well?
Yes, it definitely is. It goes on, like if people read all this, cellular agriculture creates bioidentical animal products such as seafood, meat, dairy in a lab. It involves culturing animal cells in a bioreactor. This goes on about, where is it about the farming? But it talks about precision, smart farming, precision smart farming here. They say it's in plants, herding farm animals. Yeah, so it seems, from my understanding, that these mRNA shots have this liquid in them. Seems to be a CRISPR injection, and it's going from the animals now to us.
Yeah,
So,
I am familiar, and I have been for about 5 years. The precision agriculture, I knew that they wanted to roll that out here in Washington State. Um, and I was there to testify about how productive and good biochar is for soil fertility. And the legislation had tapped on, they just added it on. Precision ag would go with that. And that's the whole sensor network and broadband. Yeah.
yeah, it seems like, now I know the people now. Like I say, the lady writing these documents, her name's Crystal Vanderels, and according to our Standards Council of Canada, if people Google biodigital convergence, and scroll down several articles, they'll come up. Let me find it here. Biodigital convergence. So if they scroll to where the Standards Council of Canada says Canada's at the forefront of exploring this. Now, they bring up Crystal's name, they bring up Policy Horizons, but they bring up bioprinters, produce organic tissue, but they bring up this group called the IEC, and they're like a standardization group for all. The IEC stands for International Electrotechnical Commission. And what they do is they put standards all over the world for all electrotechnical issues, all of them. And that means 5G, means a lot of other things too. But if people, they'll say in here, like the IEC put Crystal in our government to be at the forefront of this. If people Google IEC, this International Electrotechnical Commission, they'll be taken to a group in Geneva, their homepage, that talks about them being a standardization group. When I open their page, it says IEC everywhere for a safer and more efficient world. And they'll bring up smart cities, they'll bring up like all over the world. They talk about the smart grid, they talk about the Internet of Bodies. But more importantly, if you go into their search bar and put in biodigital convergence, and open that up, all their documents are very interesting, but the first three documents on that page, if they open like the webinar Biodigital Convergence 2, they get into that. It's like the convergence of, I'm on their page now on this PDF. It says the biodigital convergence of engineering, nanotechnology, biotechnology, information technology, and cognitive science. They'll tell you that they're a standardization group, and they're showing you what's changed in the last 20 years, where we're going with this. They have these documents. They have this reverse engineering. They also bring up like biohacking, cyborgs, biobots, environmental monitoring, GMOs. Then they start getting to say it's in the air too. They bring up geoengineering, and they get it. They show documents that say it's in our water supply too. It's quite. I don't know. I find it quite scary to see that these biosensors are in the air too. It seems, from my understanding of what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
But it seems to be everywhere already.
Where do you think?
I don't. Sorry?
I was going to ask you, where do you think, like, it sounds like they've been making this stuff in mass for a long time. Like, where is it coming from? Like, is it like they've been having to mine minerals to make these sort of components it's a lot of it's all 3D printed. But
yeah, it's 3D printed. Like, I'm looking at a thing here now, and they're saying, okay, synthetic biology standards and efforts. They bring up their efforts, and they say synthetic biology standards need it. It says health and clinical, agriculture and food. It gets into these microfluidic chips. That is the 3D printing. And like, yeah, it seems they've been at this for a very, very long time, and they implement it and then tell people later, or as soon as they're doing it. And you learn about it like 2 or 3 years down the road, if you're lucky, very lucky. But where they go on to where they're headed, they say they've been doing it for 20 years here, but I guess it's only, I think the shots are like, COVID is definitely the big accelerator, that's where they seem to have all this ready, but are using COVID now to inform you that this is what we've done, sort of deal. That's from what I'm getting out of it.
Right. They have to be able to manage the crisis as though they have it, that they have the authority and the governance systems all set up, and they do. Mm-hmm.
They definitely do. And I would say that, like, I don't know, it's I would say in 10 years, like 5 to 10 years, they show where it's going, but they bring up these artificial organs and organoids, 3D printed livers I'm looking at. Now, as soon as I saw this 3D printing stuff, I thought, okay, this is in the near future, but I found out that Israel has already done this with hearts. They've already done this. It's like I say, they seem to be informing everybody what they're currently doing. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, I am amazed.
I don't know how to get I don't know how to. I don't know how to explain some of this, except for the fact that it seems if we let this go, like they have documents here from 2018 talking about biotechnology, biobanking, being involved in the standardization stuff. I would say people are only getting notified of that. Well, they're not being notified. Nobody's being notified of this. You have to go in, but they're doing these remote sensors with this stuff that they've already put in place. They got standardized. They got their supply chains here. They say it's in the food coding of processes. They say it's like on food baking processes. They say it's in food filling processes. They say it's in caramel. They say it's in like apple fruit products. They bring up baked pies, but they have these weird supply chain thing. It seems to be in our cooking supplies too. I also know that it's in the supplements. I would guess all of the printing. I guess these supplements are being printed, and when they say the coating, from my understanding, the coating of the pills we're eating have this liquid inside them too.
Oh, sure. Sure.
Okay, that's my understanding of it, and they've been and that's scary. That's really scary.
Yeah. No transparency. Now you did mention in the past that you did it coincides, well, just before the COVID happened, you did find that there was a US biohacking law. And
Yes,
nobody's
there
paying
is.
attention. Yeah, you found that.
Nobody.
No, thank you. But you found the biohacking law around CRISPR, because there was a time where it was a free market. Anyone could purchase their own CRISPR 3D printer.
Yes.
And then
from the if I Google U.S. biohacking law, I will be once again taken to Policy Horizons.
Mm-hmm.
And they say in June 2019, California passed the first law targeting biohacking, the practice of do-it-yourself gene editing. Starting in January 2020, it will be illegal to sell CRISPR kits without warnings that they are not safe to self-administer. Now, if people go to the third paragraph of that, they say label warnings could be an attempt to curb enthusiasm and create a proceed with caution mindset. But if consumers perceive an opportunity to try an experimental cure or enhance some desirable aspect of their bodies or minds, some may be willing to take the risk. From my understanding of that, and this was explained to me by a nurse too, that they can actually hide label warnings if this is given voluntarily. So that it seems to all a lot of this stems from that. I know when they passed that, literally 4 days later, when they passed that in June 2019, where is this? Donald Trump announced, let me find this. I gotta forget the name of the document, but I know where I have it here. But they passed this pandemic. I'm almost there. Negotiating diagram. So immediately after that U.S. biohacking law, there was this download. What's the name of it here? Sorry, just give me 1 second.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, okay. So as soon as that was passed, 4 days later, this act went in relating to this Public Health Service Act, and it's Public Law 11622, the 116th Congress, it says. And that goes on if there's a pandemic, how they're going to respond to it. It's the Pandemic and All Hazards Preparedness and Advancing Innovation Act of 2019.
Okay.
That goes on about biohacking too,
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes on about that stuff too. So it's kind of hard to believe that this stuff is happening and nobody knows it. Nobody's paying attention to this. Nobody's talking about it. And it seems like this was all well prepared, and that it seems like they put these I would say that US law is responsible for a lot of the stuff that's going on right now, but
sure. And now I did write down optogenetics.
Yes,
yeah.
That's sorry?
Well, I took some notes earlier, and I wrote down the optogenetics and the LED street lights?
Yes,
Is
I would say the optogenetics, when you open this biodigital convergence, now from my understanding, that's like the craziest stuff about CRISPR. It can be used for this like optogenetics. That definitely involves LED lights. From my understanding, that's what they hope will, like, it's almost like a mind control thing. It's definitely I'm not going to say mind control, a brain machine interface.
Sure.
Yeah, but I don't think I would say they don't know how that fully works until maybe 5 or 6 years from now. From like, it's all they hope to get this complete. I think that's why they need the smart cities.
Right.
And yeah, I would say that because like when I look into this, yeah, it seems to be this brain machine interface. If people don't know this has happened, personally, I would consider that like a mind control thing.
Yeah.
But which is kind of scary that they have all this information out there.
Right. And
And
it's all an experiment in the process as they're gathering the information, the response, and because there is no response, because people don't know wouldn't even consider this being done to them.
no, they would not. There's people starting to consider it now. I do talk to some people that are aware of some of these things that are going on, but they definitely don't understand that optogenetic stuff. Okay, like I think it, like and they don't understand the precision medicine in the future. Like it seems this 3D printing, all our medicine is going to come from this. It's going to be like a precision and targeted medicine. That, from my understanding, they're literally going to control our bodies with it. But that starts with this digital twin stuff, this digital immune system. They say that brings in this future of optogenetics and like precision targeted medicine and optogenetics, which uses another science called mirroring. And that mirroring was first used in NASA, actually, believe it or not, for like deep fake space missions. And that's what they say. They say they're deep fake space missions is what the mirroring was used for. Like,
sure.
First, they say the mirroring, like they want it to pretend they were in space to go to space. That's how they word it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they word it. But they do say like fake space missions from NASA. The first time is when this mirroring was first used. Now that truly frightens me. But I don't know. I don't know if they get this new economy in. Like, I think this is coming in really, really fast now.
Yeah.
And I think this new economy will probably be like, as soon as they get this economy in place that they're talking about,
Yeah.
I would say the programs like don't like if we let that happen, the rest of this just falls completely in place. Until we're ready to maybe organize against that. And I do think it can be, I do feel people were organized against this digital ID system at the federal level, because the federal level breaks it down to the provincial levels and into the bank and and also, like, if there was like an ethics committee that was focused on the digital ID program, the CBDC, and then another group of people focused on the smart cities at the city level. and tearing down some of that infrastructure that we might be able to respond in a way that they don't expect, that or they really don't expect any attention on them, and to get all this in. If
Right.
that could be changed around, I do feel there's hope. But until that happens, and if they get this economy in, and I think it's going to come in this year, but that's only from me reading the Bank of Canada saying, and the New York Federal Reserve, like the Federal Reserve saying the central bank digital currency is ready, and my Bank of Canada saying it's going to be put in this year. I would say it all depends on how we respond to that now. We've already obviously haven't responded too well to the rest of it, or we'd be focusing on a
Right.
policy arm in the if we were to change directions now and focus on this, that there could be some hope. But when that currency is announced and that it's going to be put in the banks, or like you're seeing the banking system collapse sort of in the States right now,
Right.
that I would say that I would say that's going to go to Canada too, and that this will be announced soon with this green economy. If we could possibly get organized and focused on this, like I say, at the federal level and the city level. And believe me, Crystal van der Elst, who's writing these documents, is in the U.S. government too.
Is
Okay,
she?
like, yes, she is. And I'll tell you, she's in the U.S. Accountability's office.
Huh.
And they get into they get into this biodigital stuff too. Okay. Now, when
Wow.
I Google Crystal van der Elst, it shows World Economic Forum. If I read this, Crystal van der Elst is the CEO of the Global Foresight Group, special advisor to the European Commission, vice president, and fellow at the Center for Strategic Foresight of the U.S. Government Accountability Office. She's former head of strategic foresight for the World Economic Forum. She's definitely in the U.S. government too. And I did look through their documents one time, and they get into this stuff too. So does the NIH. So like, she's there. And I know it seems like the future is ready for a lot of these smart cities in the States. If there could be some focus on this, things might be able to be changed around a bit. But yeah, I don't see a lot. I'm not seeing any of that.
Right.
Which, yeah, I am seeing some people like fight the smart cities in their where they're from, in other places, not in Ottawa, but like in the you bring up Amon Jabi, and there's like people doing that. If everyone could get organized, at least at that level, and in Canada at that level, and at Horizons, maybe in the U.S. Accountability Office, because Crystal's there too. They do have articles there regarding this stuff. If people could focus on that, it does wake people up. That's the good news. It does definitely wake people up if they get comfortable with having this conversation. And everyone seems to be interested in it. Now, I do screw up sometimes, don't get me wrong, but the majority of people wake up when I talk to them with this information.
Well, yeah, good for you. Thank you so much. Have you ever heard of the Notice of Liability Act? And it's like a formal method of making a lawsuit for claims of violation. And the Take Back Your Power group in Canada, I think a couple of years ago, I had heard that there's a momentum and an actual strategy of holding local officials to account for any sort of violation of of privacy and harm caused, or there is a method. See, we do have a small group of people here, and right now this method is being used to stop the cell phone towers, the rollout. And there is a meeting that I'm going to with the county commissioners. And again, we only get our 4-minute, Delphi technique opportunity to oppose what's going on. But I do want to send this notice of liability information to you, because it is something to wage towards these officials, because they're the ones that are liable. Wherever it's coming from, it could be coming from the UN, the NIH, but in small towns, in local, like whatever county commissioners are in charge, they are the ones that are going to be having to face the public. And they are also the ones that will be held accountable if everyone understands that there are ways to fight back. So I did want to mention that to you. And I'm one of the authors. She's taken years to put this this file. It's a whole method of filing a claim and going to court. But it is something that she feels that it will work, and I wanted to bring that up.
I would love to see that information. If you could, you could email me that.
Yes.
Because
yes.
If I didn't work here every day, I'd literally go to door with the petition I have. I have pamphlets made with this information. All the pamphlets are all from like the information on it's all from Horizons. If people are interested, I must have given out I don't know how many, well over 1,000 of them. Majority, like I say, are interested, and if anybody wants those pamphlets, just let me know. They can email me at barelybruisedbooks@yahoo.com. They want to spread the word regarding these people. I also have a petition, like I say. The majority of signatures on that petition are actually coming from people farther along in the experiment. That gives me hope too. So if I didn't work here every day, I'd literally go door to door and try to get the community talking. Is if these 15-minute neighborhoods are going to be a 15-minute walk, it's everything within 15-minute walk. Now they're not going to be able to do that, so everything else is going to be done online at first if they get this in. If people were focused on their community level and the city level, we might be able to slow this down. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't.
Good work.
I don't know.
Well, thank you so much, James, and I will be in touch. I really appreciate you taking the time to explain everything. That I know you must be repeating yourself over and over, but thank you.
No problem. I really want to get the word out here on these people. I should also give you, if I can have 1 second.
Yeah.
There's this is really good news. I know for a fact that a courtroom in Ontario and a courtroom in Quebec, both family courts, were one parent. They were both in family. In both cases, they were in family court. One parent didn't want their child to be taken the jab, and the other parent that brought up the information. There was 2 cases. Like there might be more cases. I know of 2. The ones that brought up Horizons information that they didn't want their kid getting jabbed. They brought up the information at Horizons to the judge. The judge looked over that information and decided it was in the best interest for the kid not to be jabbed, or the kid to decide when they're older whether they want to take the jab, but the kid wasn't forced it. And the judge could see that it was in the best interest of the child. Only looking at the information at Horizons. I find that very hopeful. Yeah, I find that very, very hopeful if this could get in front of a courtroom. Right. The fact that a judge, now in both cases, the parent had to defend themselves. But like I say, the good news there, the parents went through with this, defended themselves, and they won with that information. If a judge can see that, and if a regular person that I'm speaking to has a lot of questions regarding it, and the majority, everyone seems to feel there's no ethics involved until everybody's informed of that it's happening. The first step, in my opinion, is to inform everybody that we might be able to organize after that. Absolutely. But people have to be informed this is happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like Policy Horizons, so is it like it's an arm of the government, but it's a corporation?
It's a think tank that's been in our government since 1996.
Okay.
Yeah. Like they say, the history of the people there are all seem to be World Economic Forum. But they've definitely been in our government since 1996, and so they were actually under a couple different names, but they started under the Privy Council in 1996.
Okay.
They list the shareholders involved in this. The shareholders are like Amazon, Microsoft. It goes on to other places, but like all the big names with tech. So it looks like the government is owned by big tech here for sure.
Yeah.
Especially when you see this IEC and see that the IEC put Crystal Vanderels in there, and they're the standardization group, like I say, for all electrotechnical issues. Yeah, they've been I would say they actually admit that this has been the plan since like the Atari. So
back in the 80s? Did you just say Atari?
Yeah. Atari, I did. They admit that it's been this has definitely been their plan since then.
Wow.
Yeah, they also have people's name, like other obvious shareholders. Elon Musk's name is there. Neuralink is there. They have World Economic. They have the Fourth Industrial Revolution on the bottom of their documents. They say this is the beginning. This biodigital convergence is the beginning of their Fourth Industrial Revolution. So everything on their Fourth Industrial Revolution relies on this. Okay, like everything. And they say all that. They do say all that. And like all their documents lead to Amazon, World Economic Forum, Elon Musk's Neuralink. But yeah, I would say they definitely own our government. And they say this is going global.
Yeah.
It's going to be a global governance. It looks like an AI governance. It's very strange, all of it. It's very strange, but it scares me that nobody knows. Like, obviously there's something seriously wrong with this if nobody knows it's happening.
Right.
They also have patents on here from Alexa. Amazon new patent will allow Alexa to detect a cough or cold. This Amazon patent goes on not only that it will know if you have a cold, it will know your emotional states by the sound of the user's voice or breath. It has a lot of, it seems that it's going to offer a product after they detect something. I don't trust Amazon. They already say they're in the, like, Amazon's announced a partnership with UK's National Health Services to diagnose symptoms or medical conditions through Alexa. They say that's already been implemented. Yeah, so it's all kind of strange.
Yes.
I can't imagine giving over my health care to, like, Alexa to sell me a, but that's where they say we are. That's it, and that was done in 2018.
Yeah.
And then they got, like, these 3D printed organs and stuff, like I say. Yeah, I don't. Like I say, it's all going to be hooked up to an economy so they have the social credit system up there too. It's called Canada Beyond 150, Capital and Debt. If people Google that, you'll be taken to the Canadian government website. And they have when you open that document, there's like a little fingerprint on a digital device. And it says that it came from the Privy Council office and Policy Horizons. If people scroll through that, right in the center, it says, linkages between ownership and social status are becoming unstable. Ownership could be displaced or augmented by access to service. Social credit may become a more powerful determinant of socioeconomic inclusion. Everybody's very, very interested when I show them that social credit business. And where they say ownership could be displaced or augmented by access to service, social credit may become more powerful determinant. Like, anyone can pretty much see that means you own nothing when given a government service based on your social status. I don't think they understand the augmented stuff so much until they get into reading the other documents regarding this convergence, but it does wake people up to the point where they're interested, and everybody understands they don't want a social credit system.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
So fighting the central or the CBDC is first on the list.
That's definitely, if they get that CBDC in, that's definitely where it's headed. I would say there's going to be like a carbon footprint attached to it.
Right.
That carbon footprint, like, this is where the smart cities and 15-minute neighborhoods come into play. I would say it would be like a yellow pass system, your carbon footprint, how many times you get past that. Once they get this science of mirroring in, you probably won't ever get past it, or maybe you don't even know if you passed it. There's like a video, what is the biodigital convergence? And they're talking about ordering and trying on digital clothing from halfway around the world. Okay, and their digital advisor offers them some sort of digital clothing, and these are their own words. Maybe if it gets to that point, with this digital twin stuff, that we might not even get ever passed out of those 15-minute neighborhoods. I don't know.
Right.
But
I mean, I have.
I don't know.
Right. I have heard about Second Life and VR, and there are people that just fall into that and spend their whole life in their living room just with their VR glasses in their Second Life. So it is really a sad reality when we talk about it, but I think that's the future for people that are trapped in a 15-minute city.
Yes, for sure. And I think that's where the optogenetics get involved in it. You know, that's when, I don't know what I'm going to do, because Ottawa has all the diagrams written up here for the 15-minute neighborhood. I even met one of the guys that was involved writing that document. When you're talking to these people, they deny this is happening. Like, they know this is wrong. Okay, they don't want anybody to know what they're doing until it's all in place and they're sitting back comfortably from a digital device, and you can never fix the problem. Okay, when you're actually talking to these people, a human connection talking to them, they deny this is real. Okay, there's something seriously wrong with that. In my opinion, if they're denying this and people, but majority of people can see these diagrams are written up and horizon stuff is very real, they might even be the ones running away if we actually organized, yeah,
Right.
they're,
Yeah. Well,
I
we've
don't
been
know if that makes sense, but
well, yeah, cognitive dissonance. And, people have such compartmentalized lives at this point. I can see that, yeah, it just, some people are just not ready to understand. Yeah.
I would also say the Zoom stuff, like everything that's gone so much digital since COVID. Like, I don't think a lot of people were using Zoom and stuff like this. Now, since COVID, all the events went on there, it's all part of this convergence, all of it.
Yeah.
I'm very, very happy to see like us talking this way and not through Zoom and stuff like that. Because I think it's not that I will do Zoom. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure you first saw me on Zoom.
Yeah.
But it's all part of this convergence too. It's a monitoring tool. They're watching everything.
Right.
Yeah, I can't imagine if that got to some social credit system. This is based on our cash, the situation we'd be in. We'd never be able to talk about this stuff again.
Right.
Like this is our opportunity now.
Right.
The fact that both liberal, conservative, it doesn't matter if a person, what color they are, what sexual orientation they are, every single person I'm talking to has questions regarding this. And if we could actually unite and see that both levels of our government are deeply involved in this, neither are bigger than technology. So none of them is going to save us. We have to save ourselves. And if we could do that at a community level and focus on the city, we might be able to build something a bit better here. And not their build back better scam,
Right.
We might be able to, but the fact they don't want us uniting, they want you thinking that this is a liberal agenda, this is not a conservative agenda, I'm talking like people, and I even see several people in the trans community that come to my store. They have serious questions. Nobody wants this to the level that they're pushing, especially where there's a social credit system attached to it. We could finally unite and start having the conversation here. We'd find out that even the people that want the technology, like I know a man who wants to be Neuralinked. He doesn't want the government involved with his Neuralink. He believes the articles he's reading on our government website, and he's read them. He believes that's the Neuralink. Okay, now until he met me talking about this, he felt this was what he was doing with the mRNA shots was the Neuralink. He realized that he was a very small minority of people that want to be Neuralinked. He still doesn't want a social credit system attached to it because he doesn't want to force you to be Neuralinked. Does that make sense? He doesn't want to force you to be Neuralink, but until he was having the conversation and heard it from me, he wasn't willing to talk about it. Now he's willing to talk about it. And the fact of the matter, he was actually at the store about 2 months ago, and if it wasn't for him, there would have been I was showing this to a customer here. She was very interested in what I was showing to her until I showed her Horizon's most recent document on this convergence called Biodigital Today and Tomorrow, where they bring up the mRNA shots. And she immediately asked me if I took them. And I said, I'm not going to, I wasn't going to lie to her. I said, no. I said, but it doesn't really matter. It's in the food now, according to this document, too. I'm in the program, too. She started backing out. She was a little nervous as soon as she heard I didn't take these shots. he started talking, like he overheard the conversation. He's taken 4 shots, and he said, "Hey," he goes, "I'm just overhearing the conversation. I know everything that man is telling you is true." He goes, "But I know you're not informed of this and you're scared of this right now, or you wouldn't be backing up out of here." He goes, "I took 4 of these shots. I know what that man says is true." She started getting back in the conversation again. She was willing to start talking about this as soon as he started talking.
Yeah. Great.
That gives me a lot of hope. Like, I personally, I don't understand why somebody wants a Neuralink, but the fact of the matter is that although he wants a Neuralink, he doesn't feel anyone else should be forced a Neuralink, and he definitely doesn't feel it should be like have a social credit score attached to it.
Great.
Where everybody's forced this, you know? So
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Anyway.
Wonderful.
Well, I probably got, yeah, sorry about that.
No, I'm glad.
I'm
glad.
going all over the place.
No, but it's good information. But I do want to, yeah, keep it to what we're at 1 hour and 11 minutes, and I want everyone to be able to absorb it. And I will be in touch with you. Thank you, James Scott, and good luck to you and your endeavors.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Jenna. I'm glad you had me tonight.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.